Hi chess friends, today we are going to witness how Parham's knight sacrifice goes in vain. Parham plays with white, Gukesh is black. White starts with the d4, Gukesh plays knight to f6, c4, e6, the Indian defense, knight to f3, d5, knight to c3, bishop to b4, game transposed to Queen's gambit declined, Ragozin defense, Queen to a4 check, Knight to c6. Any other move will lose the bishop on b4, e3, castle on the king side, unpins the knight, Queen to c2, b6, bishop to d2, rook to e8, a3, attacks the bishop, bishop to f8, c pawn takes d5 pawn, e pawn takes d5 pawn. Only 8 games has reached this position. In 4 games, bishop to b5 was played. In the remaining games, bishop to d3 was played. White goes for bishop to d3, knight to e7, knight to e5. Only one game has this position. In that game, black played bishop to b7 and lost the game. Gukesh played a6. Now this is completely new game. g4, threatening g5, which will force the knight to move. Then the h7 pawn will become weak. Bishop can win the h7 pawn. So g6 by Gukesh, which blocks the h7 pawn. f3, c5, castle on the queen side, knight to d7, knight takes f7 pawn. Parham thinks himself as tall and sacrifices his knight. Best move is knight takes knight on d7. Let's see the continuation. Queen takes knight on d7, h4, c pawn takes d4 pawn, e pawn takes d4 pawn. Game is well balanced. Back to the position. Knight takes f7 pawn, king takes knight on f7. White gets 1 pawn compensation for the knight, and the black's king is also safe as all the black's pieces are near the king. h4, b5, h5. Both players attack on the opposite side of the board. c4 threatens the bishop. Bishop to f1 moves it to safety. Bishop to g7, e4. White wants to give up the d4 pawn. Black is fine capturing the d4 pawn, but Gukesh wants to control the h7 and g6 squares by knight to f8 in case h pawn is traded for g pawn. H pawn takes g6 pawn check. H pawn takes g6 pawn. Now white's rook cannot penetrate into black's kingdom, as black's pieces control half of the h file. Bishop to e3, rook to b8, preparing to push the b pawn. Queen to h2, rook to b7, bishop to e2, inaccuracy by white. Best move is bishop to h6. Let's see the continuation. Bishop takes bishop on h6, queen takes bishop on h6, knight to g8. There is no problem for white. Back to the position. Bishop to e2. This move provides opportunity for black to attack on the queen side. b4. A pawn takes b4 pawn. Rook takes b4 pawn. Bishop to h6. Bishop takes bishop on h6. Check. Inaccuracy by black. It's good to continue the attack by queen to a5. Let's see the continuation. King to c2, queen to b6, bishop to c1, bishop to b7. Excellent position for black. It's hard for white to defend this position without a knight. Black is winning. Back to the position. Bishop takes bishop on h6, queen takes bishop on h6, queen to a5, king to c2, Queen to b6, threatening the b2 pawn. Queen to f4 check. King to e6 was played, trading the queens. By queen to f6 is good for black, as black is up a piece. Rook to b1 was played. Best move is b3. Let's see the continuation. C pawn takes b3 pawn with check. King to b2, and the black's attack is nullified and the white can hold the game. Back to the position. Rook to b1. King to d7. Moves the king to safer square. E pawn takes d5 pawn. Bishop to b7. Goes after the d5 pawn. Queen to f7. Rook to b8. d6. Slightly better is to play b3. Queen takes d6 pawn. d5. Bishop to a8, doubling the rook on b file. Rook to h8 was played. Blunder by white. Best move is rook h to e1, g5, knight to e4. Black has small advantage and the game can lead to draw. Back to the position. Rook to h8. After knight moves from the c3 square, white's king cannot support both the bishop and the b2 pawn. Bishop takes d5 pawn. Knight takes bishop on d5. Queen takes knight on d5. Now the white is completely lost. There is no good move for white. Rook takes knight on f8. It seems like white got back the sacrificed piece, but this position is completely winning for black. Queen to e5, threatens the bishop. If bishop moves to f1, then there is checkmate in 5 moves. If bishop moves to d1, then there is checkmate in 2 moves. So king to d1. Rook takes rook on f8. Queen takes rook on f8. c3. Preparing c2. King to e1. Rook takes b2 pawn. Rook to d1 check. King to e6. And white resigned on move 41. White can give up the rook and queen to prolong the game, to avoid checkmate on e2 by queen. If you like the video, share, subscribe and like. Thank you. Post your suggested games in the comment section.